Up in Harrisburg last week in a flurry of votes, yet with all that got done, it's maybe what didn't get done that, at least in the short term, might have the most impact. Joining us now to talk about that and so much more is Cumberland and York County State Senator Mike Regan. We're going to get to fashion talk in just a minute. He complimented me on my fashion sense, which is of the utmost importance here. But just catching everyone up, because it has been about a week. The big story, the Senate not being able to get done, pushing over the finish line, so to speak, the statute of limitations bill. The question for you is, would you, if that vote comes up, if it did come up, would you vote for the 2-year retroactive window that would allow for victims of child sex abuse to sue abusers and institutions?
I would. It's a tough one because the bill that came over from the Senate was interesting. I mean, it had only 2 of the 4 recommendations that came from the Attorney General. And it had 2 classes of victims. And that was part of the hang-up in the Senate. I think everyone wanted to see all victims treated the same. I mean, my goodness, if you're abused sexually, why should you be capped if you're abused by a high school teacher and not capped if you're abused by a priest? So that was one of the things that was a sticking point, and it got political. I mean, I think at the end, you had the Attorney General, that top cop for Pennsylvania, walking the halls of the Capitol, almost lobbying. It almost seemed like it turned into a wedge issue a month before an election.
Did it get political on both sides? Because ultimately it was Senator Scarnati's decision not to put it up for a vote.
Yeah, it was his decision to do that, and I think it was. But I think the problem was that the votes were all over the place. I mean, we had Democrats in our caucus or in our Senate who thought that the retroactivity was unconstitutional, and then when the amendment came in, which had retroactivity in it, they were then against it. So there was people who just were all over the map on this thing. We were unable to get consensus.
Do you think, did it need consensus? I mean, why not just put it up for a vote at that point?
Well, I mean, that would have been certainly an option.
Yeah, do you think there were enough votes for it to pass? If you're a yes vote, do you think there are enough GOP votes for it to pass?
I think it would have been close, but ultimately I think it may have passed, yes.
Do you think that session reconvenes at any point to get this done, or does this get brought up in 2019?
I'm not sure. I think that certainly it's a consideration, and I'm hoping it can happen. I hope we can get back in there and get this done.
At some point, even if it's a lame duck session?
Yes.